Good morning from Fast Company. Here's our daily look into what's driving today's creative business leaders. If your employer offered you a lump sum to permanently ditch the job that stresses you out like no other, would you take the money and run, or worry about what it might cost you later? I never thought I'd actually encounter this career conundrum. Looking back, I'm surprised by the choice I made. The all-company virtual meeting initially seemed like any of the weeklies that had preceded it. There was a weird icebreaker to get folks loose, various team updates, some HR housekeeping. Then the billionaire who signed all of our checks took the screen. For months, senior leadership had been deprioritizing a project that I and the vast majority of my colleagues had been specifically recruited to the startup to produce. They called it a strategic realignment or something like that. Our CEO knew many of us weren't exactly enthusiastic about the reroute. Achieving this newfound mission, he explained, would require the company to get lean. He wasn't referring to Ozempic. In retrospect, the writing was on the wall, like Destiny's Child's second album, but those markings might as well have been hieroglyphics, because I sure the hell couldn't decode them. I didn't anticipate what came next. Corporate folks call it a voluntary separation package, VSP, but at the time, it seemed like both a trapdoor and an escape. It was a lot like the severance packages that most professionals are familiar with, but instead of outright cutting roles, the company presented every employee with a tantalizing offer: 5 months of gross salary and half a year of covered health insurance. All that was asked in return was that you leave the company and don't look back. We had a week to decide. Workflows hit halt. All outstanding deliverables entered a strange purgatory. For my coworkers, the VSP became the only topic of discussion, as whispers spread about who was clocking out for good, who would remain, and what would be left behind. For some, the decision to secure the bag was a no-brainer. You could have a dope summer, said Gary, one of my Slack homies based in the DMV. He imagined months of passport stamps and midday mischief, and as he spoke, I could damn near feel the beach breeze sweeping across my brow. But I had to be real. These were the final days of quarantine. The pandemic had ravaged headcounts at rival companies, and black folks like me were often the first out the door and seldom rehired. Those fortunate enough to be employed held on to their jobs tighter than Stevie Wonder and his locks. I wasn't afraid of chucking the deuces, but I was afraid of starting over in a job market that had already shown me who it was willing to discard first. I didn't have the luxury of pretending this decision was just about vibes. That whole week, the second verse of Donnell Jones's Where I Want to Be played on repeat in my head. Do I leave? Do I stay? Do I go? Or think about my life and what matters to me the most? Essentially, I was deciding between the risk of extended unemployment, albeit with a nice runway, or the uncertainty that awaited those who remained at the gig. Dominique Dawes had nothing on the mental gymnastics twirling in my brain. The key to escaping decision paralysis was having conversations with the powers that be. Really, they were more like negotiations. What's in it for me if I bypass 5 months of paid freedom and remain on the team? One of our directors hinted that the anticipated departures might open opportunities to ascend the org chart. She couldn't straight up promise upward mobility, but I was very capable of reading between the lines. For the first time since the offer was announced, the decision stopped feeling emotional and began to feel strategic. If I decided not to abandon ship, it wouldn't be out of fear or blind loyalty. It would be because there was something tangible on the other side of thanks, but no thanks. That week felt like a month, and it ended with an exodus. But I decided to stay put, and it worked out. I was elevated to senior management, and the work? Well, let's just say the pay bump motivated me to get on board with the new objectives. But sometimes I wonder how the opposite decision might have played out, considering the stream of job offers that came pouring in once word got out about the company's shakeup. I'm not a math guy, but I'm smart enough to know 2 salaries beat 1. Gary would agree. He, like some of my other former colleagues, picked up a new gig within a few weeks. In the end, the voluntary severance was a lesson in recognizing my leverage. It forced me to ask what I wanted, what I was willing to risk, and what decision put me in the strongest position to win. For that 1 week, my value and my priorities were crystal clear.
That's all today from Fast Company. Talk to you tomorrow.
Spoken Layer.